Hello everyone, Elias5891 here with another KTANE module tutorial. This time we're going to cover the Big Circle module. This one's been out for a little bit. It's an interesting one. It has a few little things that make it very unique. So let's take a look at how this one works. It's very, very edgework heavy. So we'll go ahead and copy that down. But before we do, this particular module has some very specific edgework requirements on it. I'm not going to go over those yet, but I'll go over them as we get to them, and then when we do the second one, I will explicitly give the information that you need for this one. This one being present kind of changes how you give edge work. We'll go ahead and get the edge work for this one. We have a serial number of Bravo Victor 9 Romeo November 9, a lit S&D, two parallel ports, two serial ports, a DVI, an RJ, and an RCA on 4 plates. Alright, so how does this work? Big circle. Well, if you happen to be the diffuser, it works very easily actually. You are going to state that you have big circle. The colors do not matter to your expert. All that matters is that you have a big circle, and whether it's spinning clockwise, like 1 and 4 here, or if it's spinning counterclockwise, like 2 and 3. So let's say we're going to do number 1 first. We tell our expert, alright, I've got a big circle going clockwise. Now, what do we do with this? Well, we'll look here at our manual page as the expert. You're going to start with table 1, use each set of rules to find the next number to be used, the number for the next step. If it's negative, multiply it by -1. Usually won't be negative, but it could happen. So let's go over each of the things. For each of these indicators, you're going to add 1 if it's lit, -1 if it's unlit. That would be Bob Car Clear. I don't have any of those. For each of these, 2 if it's lit or unlit. Don't have any of those either. For these 3, Sig, Send, Turn, it's a difference of 3. We do have an S&D, and it is lit. So for each S&D that's lit, +3. That puts us at +3. Next, for each solve module, we don't have any yet. Let's keep this in mind, though, because if we go ahead and solve all of them on this bomb, then that's going to change our answer each time. It's not going to be the same answer for every iteration. Next up, number of batteries, +4 if it's odd, -4 if it's even. I have 0, which is even, so even batteries, -4, which gives us a -1 total so far. Next up, and this is the part that I mentioned you don't usually get in your normal edge work. There are port plates with parallel ports. That's easy enough. That's just gonna, you can't have more than one on a port plate. So I had 2 parallel ports, so I have 2 port plates with parallel ports. The catch is, are they paired with a serial? The way the information was presented, I know I have 2 parallel, I know I have 2 serial on 4 plates, but I don't know how many of those are paired up. Now, logically, I could deduce that it's either 2 plates or 3, so I either have 1 or 2 sharing a plate, but I don't know which of those based on what I have. So, as the expert, I would have to ask the diffuser if he didn't give me that. Alright, how many port plates have a serial and a parallel port? Or how many port plates with parallel ports also have a serial port? In this case, that's 1. So I know I have 2 parallel ports, which means I have 2 port plates with parallel ports. Of those 2, one of them has a serial, one of them does not. So for these, I'm going to do +5 for the one without a serial, and -4 for the one with a serial. So parallel ports, +5, -4. That's going to give me +1. Added to the -1 I had before gives me 0 thus far. The next one, same sort of idea. Port plates with DVI ports. I do have 1. The question is it paired with the stereo, RCA? Again, I can't deduce that based on the information I have, so I have to ask my diffuser if he hasn't told me. Diffuser, DVI port, is it on the same plate as this RCA? Yes. Alright, well that's a +4 if it's paired with the RCA. So, DVI gives me a +4, which puts me at +4 total. For each special indicator, special indicators are the custom ones. Now for my tutorials, as you may or may not know, I don't use custom indicators. Therefore, I cannot illustrate this particular rule. But this would be an NLL, a TAQ, a USB port, a composite video port. Any of those things, I had to kind of jump down here to port. Any of these that are not vanilla, any of them that you have to have a special mod to generate, those are what it's asking for there. I don't have any of those, so I can skip those rules this time. For each two-factor code, you're going to add the least significant digit. That will make this a little trickier if you have two factors on. This makes it the second module to use two-factor. It really does add value in putting two-factor back in, I think. It makes you solve everything else and then be ready to add in the least significant digit when you get a two-factor switch. We don't have that either, though, so for this one, we're done at +4. So we've completed the first step. We've got a 4. What do we do with it? We're going to count the position in the serial number as many times as your number. If you get to the end of the serial number, you're going to bounce back and continue. Going backwards, vice versa if you hit the beginning. The first character is 0. What does that mean? Well, we're going to take our serial number, BV9RN9, and we're going to go to position 4. The first, let's space these out a little bit. So, my first spot is position 0, so then we're going to count off 1, 2, 3, 4. So my fourth position is position N. Now what it's saying about kind of bouncing back is we go, if we needed to continue, we'd go 5. We're at the end of the serial, so we're going to go back the other way. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Going to go back the other way. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Back the other way. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and so on, back and forth, back and forth. Likewise, if we have to, from that you can kind of see maybe that this one, which ends in a 1, the value of 1, 11 is in the same column, the number ending in a 1, 21 would be in the same column ending in a 1, and that's true all the way across. 7 is only your last digit here. 6 is only your last digit here. So what that means is, as a shortcut, if you have a 2-digit number, all you need to look at is your last digit. If my number had come out to be 74, that would be an N because that's the column with a 4. That's my fourth character that I'd count off. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a little trick that'll help you save some time on this one. But for this one, we had a normal 4, which does give us N. So, what do we do with N? Well, once you've determined the position in the serial number, look at table 2 to determine the sequence of button presses, and press it. Once the first correct color has been pressed, the solution will not change unless you get a strike. It mentions that because two things could happen. 1, you have to go hop off to another module because it's time sensitive. 2, a two-factor could change while you're inputting an answer. If either of these things happen, but you've already submitted the first color of the answer, then it's going to accept the answer as it was as you started. We're going to come back to what we can do with that in a second. But what that means is if, say, I put in the first 2 colors here, I go do something else, and I come back and punch in the third, that's fine. Not going to penalize me. Not going to change it mid-solve to add the +3 for another solve module. So we have N. We look up N N is the color sequence red, orange, yellow. Notice it says here if the circle's counterclockwise, we reverse the order. For number 1, it's not. So we're going to hit them in that order, red, orange, yellow. You'll notice when you highlight them, highlights like a little pie shape, wedge piece, whatever you want to call it. So we need to hit red, orange, yellow. So red, orange, yellow. If you're correct, it'll start to fade out, and you'll get a little green light. If you get a strike, you just get a strike. It instantly gives you the strike. So we solved number 1. Let's go ahead and do number 4. Our answer is not going to be 4 now, because remember, now we have a solve module, which is going to be an additional +3. So for 1 solved, we're going to add 3 to what we had before. That's going to give us 7 as our new number. So we can see it's this column. But 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's an R. R is blue, magenta, red. So for number 4, we're going to punch in blue, magenta, red. And again, obviously, if I go over here and punch in blue, magenta, red, it's going to be wrong because my answer's changed because I've solved something. It's also going to be wrong because it's going counterclockwise. Let's hit number 3 next. For 2 solved, we're going to do another +3. That's going to give me 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Same as 0 position, B. Magenta, white, orange. But 3 is going counterclockwise, so we're going to do it the other way around. We're going to do orange, white, magenta instead. So we're going to do orange, white, and I'm going to pause here for a second. I could go ahead and do magenta and then figure out what my next combination would be for number 2. But remember, once I start entering an answer, it doesn't change the answer no matter what happens. So, since I know the answer right now is orange, white, magenta, they're both counterclockwise, so it's reversed for both of them. Since I know the answer is orange, white, magenta, why don't I cue that up on number 2 as well? Orange, white. So both of them have orange, white entered. I can just punch in the magenta here, punch in the magenta here, and I've got them both solved. That way, I got to skip a step. Doing that lets you reduce the number of solves you need to do. So if you really wanted to cheese it, and say you were doing one of these how-to bombs, you figure out your answer, you punch in the first 2 colors for all of them, then you just go through and punch in the 3rd color for all of them. Now, having demonstrated that, I'm not going to do that for the next one, but I did want to illustrate that possibility. So let's do another one together. Go ahead and boot it up. Here you go. Now, this time I'm going to play a diffuser who knows this module a little better, knows what things to give. We have 3 batteries, an unlit FRK, a DVI-D port, an RCA, an RJ, and again, let's say he doesn't remember. 3 batteries in 3 holders. So that'd be 1 port plate. And serial number is 7 Echo 0 Tango Golf 9. So we're going to start table 1 again. I haven't mentioned this, but there is actually a unicorn rule, a bob rule. It requires there to be 5 batteries in 3 holders and a bob indicator. In that case, then you're just going to click a button matching the color of Bob's indicator. If the indicator is gray, then any color works. Otherwise, assuming you don't have custom widgets on white for light or lit, black for unlit, if you do have custom, it could be any of these colors based on what color the indicator itself is. But let's go ahead and do this one. For each indicator, Bob car clear, no. Fork frequency, Mesa Nessa. We do have one. An unlit FRK. That is worth a -2. No more indicators, no solve modules. Batteries, we have 3, that is odd, it's +4. Port plates with serial, didn't have any serial ports. Port plates with DVID, I did. Now, because I know there's one plate, which 3 holders, 1 indicator means 1 plate if the widget count is vanilla. I know the DVI and the RCA have to be on the same one, but I can always ask, DVID port, is it on the same plate as the RCA port? Yes. Alright, well that's a match. That's paired, so we're going to add another 4. Which gives us an answer of 6. No special indicators, no special ports, no 2 factors again. So we're going to look up the 6th character. Whoops. Space out the serial number. So we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is G. Let's do 2 because it's clockwise. Green, red, white. For the next one, it's going to become 9. So this was 6, 7, 8, 9. E is orange, blue, black. Do we have another clockwise one? No, the rest are all counterclockwise. So since it's counterclockwise, we're going to reverse the order. Black, blue, orange. Black, blue, orange. Next one, add another 3 for another solve. Puts me at 12, which is the same as 2. So 0, 1, 2. That's a 0. 0 is this one. Red, yellow, blue, but it's counterclockwise, so we reverse it. Blue, yellow, red. Last one, we'll add another 3, puts us at 15 or 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the 9. That's this column. Again, counterclockwise, so we read it backwards. Orange, white, magenta. And there we go. And yes, you will notice I do have a custom sound pack installed. My apologies, I didn't mean to disable that before I started, and I did not, so I apologize. So, we've done a couple of these. So let's blank the screen for a moment. I'm going to start one more up. I will give you the edge work, and I will give it to you with the extra details you'll need to know. And go ahead and solve. Just solve one. We'll only do, let's say number 3. I haven't seen it generate yet, so we'll do number 3. For this one, number 3, we have a lit bob indicator, 4 batteries in 2 holders, a parallel port, a serial port, an RCA, and an RJ45. I'm sorry, a PS2, not an RJ45. The parallel and serial are on the same port. They are on the same port. Serial number is X-Ray Hotel 4, Hotel Delta 9, and we're doing number 3, which is moving clockwise. Take a moment, see what you get when you solve this one. Alright, let's go ahead and put the screen back up, and let's go through this one together, see what you got. Indicators, we have a bob, and it is lit, so for each lit bob, it's lit +1 for bob. No other indicators, so we'll go jump down past that. No solve modules, jump past that. Batteries, even. Yep, -4. -4. Puts me at -3 so far. Port plates with parallel ports, I do have one. Does it have a serial port? It does. That's another -4. Puts me at -7. No DVI ports, no special indicators, no special torts, no 2 factors. We have an answer of -7. Has not come up yet, although it did specify in the first rule we looked at. If you have a negative number, you multiply it by -1. So you treat it as if it's a +7 in this case. So we're going to count out to the 7th character. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's an H. H is this combination here. So my answer is going to be green, red, white. And I'm going to do the little trick I showed you again earlier. Green, red, green, red, green, red. This one we're going to have to do backwards because it's going counterclockwise. But green, red, white. And notice by sneaking ahead, we're able to get all of those done. And that's going to do it for a big circle. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, or suggestions, please feel to leave them down below as always. And until next time, guys, this has been Elias. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and don't explode. Bye.